Downtime with me, Ariel Adams of A Blog to Watch. Is everyone having a nice day in captivity, as I call it? I'll wait for a few people to join. Oh, we got 10 people here right off the bat. That is so lovely. Some of these watches were here the last show, very few of them, but I didn't really get a chance to speak about them enough. Has anyone been buying or trading watches during this time? I'm actually quite curious about that. Hello, William. There's been a big question in the industry right now as to what commercial activity is like. Are people buying watches? Are people thinking about their next watches? Are they trying to sell off their watches? And I'm curious from all of you what your thoughts are on what you want to do as a buyer right now. Or do you just sort of want to wait until this is all sort of blown over, and after that, go back to buying and collecting and things like that? There's no right or wrong answers, of course. I'm just curious what people have to say here. Some of these watches are dead, not not forever dead, but there's a couple of quartz watches here that I would have to change the battery. Some of these watches are kind of old. I want to talk about this one. This is a Lumtech. And for this series, for Downtime, I've been going through, of course, my collections and my archives and things like that. And this watch still looks pretty good today. This was the first ever watch that was sent to me to be reviewed on A Blog to Watch. So back in 2007, this was the first ever one that that anyone ever sent to me to go ahead and write about. This is Lumtech. This is an American-based company. They're still around today. Actually, haven't been in touch with them in a long time. A guy named Chris is the proprietor. And I understand that Lumtech also does a lot of services from other brands. So a couple days ago, I brought out a watch called Vero that's based in Portland, and I think the assembly is done for them by Lumtech. Jeremy is saying, no purchases for me, pay cuts. Yeah, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Hello, Arthit from the Philippines. Waiting, yeah, so people are just sort of waiting for deals and things like that. So this was the what was this, the M3. So remember that what Lumtech did is they number their watches sequentially. So each model would have added a number to it. And this is the M3, so this is the third watch they've ever come out with. I'll put it on. Someone's still waiting for the Rolex Hulk. Yeah, I guess some people put in some orders a long time ago for Rolex watches and they're on waiting lists. And now, you know, the time has come at some point. So this is the M3. This is, what would they make this as? A limited edition of 155 pieces. This is the 33rd version of the M3. And this is a quartz watch, nothing wrong with that. They've since made a lot of mechanical watches. Oh, thank you, Will. Appreciate that. I learned from all of you as well. So one of the things that made Lumtech was the fact that they made their own luminance. That's why they were called Lumtech. And you can see here just, again, you can't see the lume. It was very good lume. But look how bright it is during the day. This fantastic orange color. And to this day, I don't remember seeing any luminant colors that sort of render in this way, in this particular orange. Yeah, I mean, look, Lumtech, people are saying it's very Panerai looking. Remember, this came out in 2007. And it was, you know, there wasn't as many, you know, Panerai clones and such. But they did their own thing. This watch was a few $100. This was a lot of watch for the money. This was a very good watch. So this is the Lumtech M3. Has anyone bought a Lumtech lately? Again, as I said, I haven't really been in touch with the company in quite some time. I've always liked what they do, but I don't really know what they've been doing. Look, you know, you should see the number of M-series watches that Lumtech came out with. They use different materials, so your wish was probably their command years ago. Years ago. Speaking of watches that aren't working right now, today we published an article on the Blog to Watch about the upcoming Tissot T-Touch Connect Solar, which is their smartwatch. And a couple days ago on the show, I brought out the T-Touch Solar Expert, which was the watch that will become the Connect. It's a little bit different. This is the C Touch, which was the diver's version, which is a couple years old at this point. My favorite movement in a watch? I don't have a favorite. Look, I like effort. If it's detailed well, if it's engineered well, if it's nice to look at, if it performs well, I'm going to like it. I'm going to like it. It's amazing how many people's usernames have the word watch in it. Hello, Tom. You do not have watch in your username. So this was the diving version of the T-Touch. Yes, someone noticed the Favre but I will pick that up. Someone likes a Seiko and an El Primero. Well, those are good movements. Again, I don't know that there's a best movement out there. I like a lot of movements. So imagine this watch would have been working, and this was a steel version of the T-Touch, which remember was mostly in titanium. So it's actually quite rare to find this steel version. I love the look of this watch. And as a diving watch, this one automatically knew when you were underwater and showed you your depth. So I don't know that I've ever actually, I've definitely gone to swimming pools with this thing, but since I've actually become a certified diver, I don't know that I've actually gone underneath the water with this one, but the first thing I'd have to do is put a new battery in it. But this was a cool watch. I really like these a lot. I think, Tissot's had a hard last couple of years. I hope that the T-Touch Connect Solar helps them out. Anybody found that Tissot used to be a brand they liked a lot more and they sort of stopped coming out with stuff that was interesting? It seemed like they kind of forgot about the watch enthusiast. Somebody the other day said a Braun watch, again, needs a battery, sorry. But this is a digital watch that had this little scroll wheel here, and it was also a pusher, and it was nice to move through the selections. This has a more than standard liquid crystal display. It's not your typical cheap LCD one. Nice little color on the side there, the yellow. This is this is a funky watch. This is pre, things like the Apple Watch, and again the sort of case shape wasn't exactly what you would say is amazingly innovative. I thought these were neat. I thought these were really neat. I have a couple of other Braun watches. Neat bracelet. I find that I actually have a lot of watches what I have called the single link bracelet, just one big piece right there. Someone has a friend with a Pebble watch. I actually never had a Pebble watch. I was never interested at that point because it was so unattractive as an actual watch. Okay, this is, I love the story behind this watch. I think this is called the Rogue Warrior watch. And there's this interesting guy named Mike that made these with, I forget the name of him. He was this guy that wrote a book. We wrote about this in the Blog to Watch years ago. He wrote this book, and he was some type of special forces guy, and he designed this watch. This was a watch that he wanted. So an actual kind of famous special forces guy that had seen crazy action in Vietnam or something like that designed this. This was like a one watch brand. I think the book was called Rogue Warrior, so it was the Rogue Warrior watch. And I don't know, this is all sort of iconography by him. So this is the watch that he wanted, and over the years, I mean, this was kind of funny at the time, but over the years, no one's really done anything quite like this. This is actually a rare set of functionality in this watch. It was quartz, but it was a GMT quartz movement, which is rare. I actually just wrote about a Victorinox Swiss Army watch that has a quartz GMT movement in there. Tracer and Luminox, I think, have a few, but it's very uncommon to have a quartz GMT movement. The lume on this thing was fantastic. And one of the signature features, if you look at the dial there, it says krypton gas. What's someone put the lightning strap on the Milgauss? Oh, you're looking at that. So anyways, this watch case was filled with krypton gas, and the idea was similar to Zinn, where you have a different gas in here that isn't oxygen, so it doesn't fog up. So if you were going to jump out of an airplane, the difference in temperature is so extreme that your watch can fog up. And there's other situations, for example, that your watch can fog up, but jumping out of an airplane is a very common thing that will make your watch fog up. I've done that before, and I've been careful to wear a nice watch, but the next time I do, I'll check for that. The Jurassic Park watch. This actually looks like it could be a Jurassic Park watch, huh? Yeah, a lot of my battery watches need batteries. I understand. Well, look, I don't wear quartz that much, and this watch, I can't actually change the battery on this thing, because you have to understand, first of all, look at this. There's all these screws right here, dozens, like so many screws, and if you open the watch up, it loses the krypton gas. So I have to send it back somewhere to make sure that they're able to replace the gas in there. So I don't really know what I would even do. I mean, this company doesn't even exist anymore. The battery will leak if I don't take it out. I've got some dead watches, I'll tell you what. That's what I'll do one summer. I'll spend the entire summer like gently taking the batteries out of my quartz watches. That's some intern work right there. I really got to hire an intern for that. If anybody wants to do that, you know where to reach me. Anyways, the last thing about the Rogue Warrior watch was these protective bars that, you know, it was weird at the time, but I don't know. I kind of dig it. Let's see what this thing was like on the wrist. This crazy camo strap. There we go. The Rogue Warrior watch. Honestly, this watch has aged pretty well, I have to say. Battery's dead, and I can't replace it because of the krypton gas, which is hilarious. But this watch has aged well. This is at least 10 years old. Protective bars could be used for backup NATO strap. Yeah. Watch aficionado, you're probably correct about corrosion and batteries coming apart and things like that. Yeah, I will have to be it's a big task. And William is telling everyone that he's drunk. Well, you enjoy yourself. You have the right to do that. I heard in some places, what was it, South Africa maybe? You can't even buy alcohol anymore. Battery watches are for kids. Well, kids need watches too, you know. Okay, let's see. Let's find another dead battery here. There's got to be a few more dead batteries. Here's a dead battery. I guess I'll get to the mechanical ones later. This was a watch by the fashion house Givenchy, and I really liked the case of this watch. I thought that was super cool how there was this kind of stencil case. This was not the fanciest watch. I'm pretty sure it was quartz. But I thought that they did a really nice job with the design of this watch. I thought this was really nice. There's nothing wrong with battery watches, everyone. There just isn't. Okay, if you have a battery watch, it's fine. I think that, you know, the problem with a lot of quartz watches is they're just not per se made as well as mechanical watches a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So I don't. Has Givenchy made any watches since? Was this just their thing? They just made one and that was that. I'm not really I have to say it the correct way. Givenchy. I don't know the crass American way to pronounce this is. Givenchy. Givenchy. I mean, you gotta admit this was a handsome watch. It was modern. It's definitely got a classic element to it. Attila wants David Braden to see his... That's up to David. That's entirely up to him. Yeah, look, there's some great quartz stuff out there. There really is. Someone's talking about Grand Seiko. I mean, Grand Seiko, for me, I don't even want their mechanical watches. I just want quartz and spring drive. That's like all I desire in Grand Seiko. And that's actually all I have in Grand Seiko is quartz and spring drive. Someone only loves manual and automatic watches. Well, that leaves a lot of watches for other people. For me, yeah, standard thing is just an automatic. I probably have less manually wound watches than anything else. I don't know that I've ever actually purchased a modern watch which is manually wound. I purchased vintage watches that are manually wound, but I've never actually purchased a modern manually wound watch. It just, I wanted to have a power reserve indicator. Or you know what happens when I wear manually wound watches? This is what happens. I just sort of compulsively wind it all the time. So they're probably overwound like all the time, just constantly overwound. I feel like I should go through all the quartz watches first because every single one of them is dead here. So somebody was talking about this. This is a swatch. This was a limited edition swatch they did with a designer. I believe his name was Jeremy Scott. Does it say on the back here? No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, there we go. Jeremy Scott. So this was like the Jeremy Scott one that, look, I like black and yellow. People know that. And I just thought this sort of lightning bolt strap was just, I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. It was different. You know, this shows like swatches still got it. But this is one of those movements that was just, I mean, really, really loud. That's the one thing about Swatch. Can they make their plastic movements not tick so loudly? Actually, this one might have been better because it didn't have a seconds hand. Yeah, Great Scott by Jeremy Scott. Isn't that something? That's fun. And non-pretentious too. You know what this is reminding me of? Like, what if you did hands that were like bat hands? It could be like a Batman watch, but each of the hands here was like a bat wing. So twice a day you could see the time. That would be interesting. It's very Shazam. Yeah, that's true. I took a limited edition swatch out of the plastic. Yup, because I wanted to put it on once in a while. I need to know what it feels like. Watchman watch, exactly. Exactly. But this is cool, you know? This for me is Swatch at their best. This is really Swatch at their best. I don't know that I'd wear this thing because it's a watch. It's Swatch. It's, you know, it's I feel like I would damage it just by wearing it. Okay, I feel like there's one more quartz watch I haven't talked about yet. Oh, well, this is quartz. I love this thing. This is still a new collection. This is the MTG. I don't remember the exact model number from Casio. This is the first metal G-Shock that I wore. Sapphire crystal, full metal construction. This is sort of the collection that's under the MRG. So Mr. G is the highest one, and then right underneath that is MTG. And this one didn't have GPS, but it connected to your watch. I'm sorry, connected to your phone via Bluetooth. This is the all analog one. This is a great, super comfortable, by the way. This watch is unbelievably comfortable. Part of it is because it has these articulating lugs. Ironically, there's another watch here that has similar articulating lugs that I'll get to in a second here. So this is the Casio G-Shock MTG. I think this still represents the modern generation of this. This is the same watch where they did the rainbow effect on there. So they did the special iridescent coating on the case. And it didn't come on the bracelet, which would have been awesome, but it's sort of this rainbowy case. Someone says, is this my first G-Shock? No, I said this is my first G-Shock that I wore that is all metal. I think they're really cool, actually. You know, if you grew up wearing G-Shock watches or had them in a time of your life where you needed sort of a utilitarian watch, but felt that you had to sort of grow out of them at some point, this is an interesting way to get back into G-Shock, but still feel like a watch person and an adult. This watch was, I think, something about $800. This watch is Solar One, and it's actually, I love this watch, but I was so busy reviewing other G-Shocks that I couldn't wear it for a while, so it's got to charge again. But this is a fantastic watch, a really nice watch. So again, you can see here, one of the reasons it fits so well is there's this lug articulation, which happens. And another watch here that you also have the lug articulation is the Bulgari. And this is the Diagono Scuba. This is the Scuba 300 meter. So you see here, the Diagono has that same situation here where there's this articulating lug in the same style. And I asked Bulgari one time, I was talking to them about this, I was like, that's so brilliant, you know, that's so great. And what they had told me that they did, and it makes perfect sense once you think about it, but what does that look like to you? Well, it's actually directly inspired by a door hinge. So you know there's usually two of these on a door in a room, one up and one below. They're like, oh, that would work on a watch. So this is a really fancy door hinge. That's basically what you have here. I thought that was pretty cool. I like this watch a lot. I've worn this watch during some really nice times in my life, and I've traveled with this watch. So this is, this is probably among the more serious sport watches that Bulgari makes right now. They're actually not making too many sport watches. They used to make a lot more in the past. People know that I've been wearing around a different Diagono, which is the Bulgari Diagono X Pro, which is a watch that we have a no longer made article coming about soon. There was an old generation Scuba and the new generation Scuba. They look very similar, but the new generation Scuba is a little bit cleaned up. Somebody asked me the other day about fashion watches. Like, Ariel, what do you think about fashion watches? I'm like, I don't know about fashion watches. No, I like fashion watches. But this, for me, represents a sort of like pinnacle of fashion watch, because there's the Maison Bulgari, which is, really about fine Italian aesthetic, but they make nice products as well. So this is a watch where they really care about the design of the watch and the construction of the watch at the same time. Fabrizio, who is the lead designer there, is an interesting guy, and I think he was directly involved with this project. Hello, Nim Nim. I'm just saying hello to people that are commenting. Yeah, this watch was really comfortable to wear, and you can see that the bracelet links, they articulate kind of the same way. I like arrow hands, actually, but I go back and forth. It's like, do I want the arrow hand on the minute hand or the hour hand? This one doesn't bother me, but actually I prefer an arrow for the hour hand. And my favorite watch out there that has that is the Zemex. Does Ralph Lauren watches still exist? Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. But they've gone low end. Where's the Hulk? I mean, look, is there not enough video content out there about the Rolex Submariner Hulk? I mean, do you really need to see mine? I'm trying to show you stuff that isn't really out there. I mean, some the comments from the last few days have really spoken very encouragingly about the fact that this is sort of the normal stock of stuff people see. This is the Bulova, their moon watch. This was I call it the Dave Scott watch? Nim Nim, you know what? It's hard to be into watches and not be a Rolex guy. You don't need to own Rolex watches, but there's so much to appreciate there. So much to appreciate there. Someone's talking about a Seiko green over the green Hulk. Look, it's funny how green watches just these trends. It just sort of comes in out of nowhere. It's like, oh, this color's now in blue and green and gray. I mean, these colors are not original. It's not like these colors have just been invented. They've been around for a long time. Just wear whatever color you like. So yeah, this is basically the Bulova Speedmaster. This uses their precisionist movement. So this is a 262 kilohertz movement. So this is not your standard quartz movement. This is your ultra high accuracy quartz movement, which I like. And what was really nice about, as you can see, is similar to the other sort of, I don't know what they call them, electromechanical movements or whatever. The seconds hand there sweeps. So you can see there what it sort of looks like with the chronograph on. Why would any sane person want a green watch? What a question. Well, maybe we're not sane. Did you ever think about that? So here is, again, for legal reasons, there was all types of problems with how Bulova was supposed to name this watch. So I don't remember what they ended up calling it, but I think Omega has a trademark on Moonwatch, and so Bulova tried to, I don't know, they tried to finagle. This watch changed names, I don't know how many times, but I'm still going to call it the Bulova Moonwatch, because this is sort of directly based on a watch that was worn to the moon by Dave Scott. And what people don't know is that when Omega was selected as the official watch of the Apollo program, it wasn't the only one, and it was a head-to-head fight between Bulova and Omega. And there's a lot of sort of mystery around how that whole thing went. And, it wasn't that Bulova or Omega was a better watch or whatever, but Bulova was the American company. And people were like, yes, I have my Alaska. But yeah, again, Bulova was the American company. And they were saying, why are we having a foreign product in our American mission? And again, I didn't think there was any problem using a Swiss product, but it was actually a political issue to choose Bulova over Omega because it was an American brand. Bulova is an American brand and Omega is a Swiss brand, obviously. Bottom center of the screen. Oh, this is the LoomTech. If someone's questioning this. Yes, this watch, well, not this exact one, but a watch similar to this from the era that was mechanical, of course, did go to the moon. And that's a whole other scandal thing. It was sold at auction, and it was a complicated thing. Someone's wearing their Omega Speedmaster right now. Congratulations. You and many other people are enjoying their Speedmasters right now, I'm sure. Right now. So if anyone wants to see this, yeah, this is a LoomTech M3. The reason I talked about this is because this was the first watch that was ever sent to a blog to watch to review back in 2007. So kind of sentimental to me a little bit. Which swatch is that in the corner? Again with this is the Jeremy Scott swatch, which is fun for obvious reasons. Okay, let's talk. I guess it's a lot of divers here. Here's a non-diver. I think I'm done with the quartz ones by now. This was a March Lab. I forgot the name of this model. This is a cool little brand that when they started, they wanted to go not high end per se, but enthusiast grade. Now I think they only do like quartz stuff. This was a company that I love because they had a great aesthetic, but we always used to have these arguments that the watches they made were too small. And their first watch was like 37 millimeters. Like, guys, it's too small. And so as they made more watches, they slowly increased in size. They like couldn't believe me. Like, why do they need to be so big? I was like, guys, people want to buy bigger watches. This brand was cool because over every single movement they had, there was a green tinted crystal there. We need more shaped watches. Well, circle is a shape. It was actually nice how decorated the movement was. They had their own rotor design there. This was a company that was obsessed with 1970s design and like muscle cars and leather gloves and stuff like that. Great designers, great minds there. March Lab was a really cool brand. Someone keeps talking about the Tudor 1926. I'm not even sure what that is. Is that a new watch? I don't really pay attention to Tudor too much when it comes to their heritage stuff. I like their sports watches. That guy's asked a lot. Can someone just say something about this Tudor 1926 watch so this gentleman can feel like someone knows something? The Eterna, yes. So this was an interesting case shape for sure, and it made a lot of sense to put the crown there. That maroon color is just fantastic. I think there's a little smudge there on the crystal. I haven't worn this watch in quite some time. Neat watch, right? March Lab is still around, but I don't know if they're continuing to make any mechanical watches. I think they just make quartz stuff right here. Oh, the 1926 is the more affordable version to the Datejust. Is that what that watch is called? I thought it was called like the, I don't know, the style. They have like Tudor has some traditionally terrible names for their watch collections. I mean, just awful. Like Rolex has the day date and they have the date day. I mean, really? Hey, Beauty of Scent, it's going great. Okay, let's see here. What else we got? Let's talk about Orage for a second because I talked about this in the last show and I wanted to show you a different Orage. So this is the Orage Omnium again. This is a 40 millimeter wide watch with an in-house made movement. They call it the K1. Thoughts on a full ceramic case? Go for it. This is actually a 904L steel. I don't know if anyone cares, but it is. It's like facet cut sapphire crystal. Kind of very Bauhausy. How many watch winders do I have? I used to use watch winders religiously, and then I just realized it was using like an unbelievable amount of electricity. Orage is independent. Yeah, it's a Zurich-based brand, a little one. Someone wanted me to pick up the Eterna again. I talked about this last time, but everyone loves this thing, and I love it as well. Sorry, I'm just catching up with some of the comments here. The K1 movement so far has been great. One thing they did is they bumped down the frequency to 3.5 hertz from 4 hertz in order to extend the power reserve to 65 hours, and that's fine. I do prefer 4 hertz, though. They do have, I don't think it's in all their movements, they have an option to have silicon as, you know, in the escapement, and that would probably bump up the accuracy even more than 4 hertz, but I don't know if every single one of the watches have that. But so far the K1's been really great. All right, guys, I'm going to talk about the Eterna, and then I'll go back to the Horage. So this is the Eterna Super Kontiki. This is what I call an over-engineered watch that was too expensive for what people wanted to pay at the time. When did this come out? About 2007, something like that. 2000, maybe a little later, no later than 2009. I love this thing. This is a fantastic watch. Turning the bezel. The lume on this thing is fantastic, just fantastic. How tall is the Eterna? Just to remind everyone, this is not the stock strap. I put this strap on there because it's comfortable and it fits. This is an MAT strap. MAT is a French company that makes nice watches, and they have some great straps. So that's how tall it is. I have the measurement in the review. I don't remember exactly. Sorry, oh, there's my hand. But now you can make it even taller. If you didn't want it, if you want to be tall, sometimes I walk around just like this. Just like, I have to wind this thing. The weird thing about this watch is it doesn't have a screw down crown. So there's a bunch of gaskets and stuff in there, but it doesn't have a screw down crown. I actually wanted it to have a screw down crown. How big? I don't know. This thing was about 45 millimeters, maybe, something like that. But again, another watch with what? Articulating lugs. Articulating lugs help it wear well. Hide drugs underneath. Do I have any U-boat watches? No, I don't. They've had some cool ones out there, but U-boat is, I don't know. It's like if you care about prices, it's really hard to take them seriously, at least the U-boat I remember. What's my favorite diver in the 2000 mark? What is there, like 300 options? How do you narrow it down? How do you narrow it down? Someone said the Dick Tracy watch. Someone made that, didn't they? They made a Dick Tracy watch. It didn't work. It was just kind of like a fun Dick Tracy watch. There's been a few of those over the years. All right, I'm going back to the Horage. The Horage. So this is the Autark, which I think is going to be a little bit more of their popular model. This one is the Autark. It's like their 10-year anniversary model. And it's a little bit different than the normal one. The bezel is a little bit simpler on this one. It's got a sandblasted look. It's titanium. Someone's asking me if I know Autodromo. I mean, I do know of Autodromo. I think I have one. I couldn't tell you where it is. I have to look through my stuff. There's a Fortis on the table here, so I'll get to Fortis. So this watch, yeah, this one of the issues is the fact that not everyone likes the name Horage. The people at the company, they have a good humor about it, but they recognize that if you're a native English speaker, might not be your top choice in a name. Yes, I know, it's easy to make fun of. And the hour markers here are great and super legible, and they're applied, and it's just so nice, but I feel like they could have got a little bit more exciting with a font. This font looks like what you'd see in like a school, like a PE class or a gym or something like that. Like it's like very functional. You can see it, but it doesn't have style. But that could be remedied. This is also the K1 automatic movement with a different module that, in addition to the big date indicator, or the small big date as I talked about it, power reserve indicator with nice color there. subsidiary seconds. There's the movement there. This is a sort of black colored version of the movement, or a dark colored movement. Weird thing on this watch, on the rotor, it said like, I forget what the statement was, something like it said 10 years or something like that, but in 19 different languages or something like that. So if you look really closely on the rotor, there's a lot of little statements in different languages. Yeah, look, I mean, the Genta lug, which was essentially just this sort of angled curvature, is about the only way that you can have an integrated bracelet. I mean, people have tried different ways to do it, and there's, various techniques here and there, but that's basically it. You have that shape. That's really all that you can do. This watch is 39 millimeters wide, I believe, or it's a little bit under 40. Again, this is in a sort of hardened bead blasted titanium. And, with everything being bespoke here, in-house movement, this watch is still, it wasn't that expensive. The Omnium, for example, is like, I think 3,000 Swiss francs. So this is the Orage Autark, the 10-year. The other versions of the Autark have a slightly fancier bezel that I think I might prefer, but it's very, very light, very, very lightweight. Thoughts on the Cartier Ballon Bleu? I could talk a long time about the Ballon Bleu. What I want to say about the Ballon Bleu is it's one of those watches that came out, the watch media and the jewelry industry, everyone hated the thing. Everyone's like, what is this ugly watch? And Cartier was like, what happened? We made a mistake, da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, it became popular with consumers, and it became nuts and became really big. I never disliked the Ballon Bleu, so I don't know what the big fuss was about, but it just goes to show that retailers and, watch media sometimes have no idea what they're talking about. Here's the Fortis. This was I think this is one of the cosmonaut watches. I forget the names of the Fortis. Fortis has, a reputation because they've supplied, Russian cosmonauts with some watches before. They were like the Russian version of the Omega. I'm trying to see if there's the name of the model back here. I always forget the names of the models. But I really like this watch because it had sort of this silver on silver on silver theme. I want them to come back with the Roadster. Someone was asking about the Cartier Roadster. Definitely want that watch to come back. So this watch is interesting because Fortis makes it with different dial colors and different bezels. So this actually comes with, I think, a black ceramic bezel option as well. But I was really keen on this sort of silver on silver on silver look. I still think that the dial with the sort of green and the orange, I don't know, green, that shade of green and that orange, they're not the most elegant. They're very sporty, but they're not, I want them to be like a little bit more elegant. Someone's asking me, is that a BRO or Panerai? This is a Lumetech. For the gentleman who just joined, I brought this out. This is a Lumetech M3. This is from 2007. And the reason I talked about this watch, great loom, by the way, this is an American company. It was the first watch that was ever sent to me to review. So it's kind of sentimental. Fortis is a company that I have to sort of get to know their watches all over again because over the years they keep sort of changing the collection and stuff like that. I mean, look, this case is trying to be a Daytona. It's like a 42 millimeter Daytona case. Same kind of pushers. The dial is very much their super legible, pilot, aviator, astronaut style dial. This doesn't have an enormous amount of originality to it until you look at the dial, and even then it's not super original. But it works well. It works well. I consider this a sort of eccentric conservative watch in that it has a conservative shape, but the colors aren't the types of colors that you would always assume with these. The Oris Atelier translucent skeleton. I don't know. Some of those can be quite challenging to read, and that's a massive problem I have with a lot of skeletonized watches is that you can't read them. The ones that you can read, I'm usually pretty hot on though. I'm going to show you some more watches from my past. This is a watch I bought. Do I have any? Do I have a two-tone Datejust? I do. I do. This is a Marcello C Nettuno 3. Someone's asking me the Breitling Hurricane Avenger and Bright Light. Those are all nice watches. This is the first Swiss-made mechanical watch I ever got. I bought this when I was in college. I'm trying to think what year it was that I bought this watch. I'm trying to think. Maybe 2000 and maybe 2002, 2003, something like that. I bought this watch because it was supposed to be good value for the money. The gentleman that started this brand, this is a German brand, but I believe he used to work at Oris, actually. So one of the interesting things is if you look at this dial, I don't have my, where's my Aquas? I think my Aquas is in another room. But I've been wearing my Aquas lately, and this actually has similarities to the Aquas hour marker. So this is actually a mixture of a Rolex dial and an Oris dial, interestingly enough, and people don't really think about it that way. This watch was really important to me because this was like my first like nice Swiss watch. It's not a tag. And before this, I'd been wearing, I was already into watches at this point, but I'd been buying quartz watches and some Japanese mechanical watches and things like that. And so this was my first, Swiss-made one. And I was thinking that I'd get all this attention. Like, oh, people are going to comment about my watch. It looks so nice, da-da-da. No, one time somebody thought this was a Rolex. But other than that, no one's mentioned anything. But funny enough, as sort of obscure as this watch is, I was with a relative of my time at her wedding, and the man that she was marrying at his wedding was wearing one of these watches. I was like, how, it was like the first time I met him, I was like, watch guy. And he was actually wearing a different version of it. This is the silver dial. And so I had to buy the silver dial as well. Or maybe I bought it before. I don't remember when I bought the silver dial one, but this is the one that he was wearing. I have the bracelet of this somewhere. I just put it on a strap. Why not? But this is the one he was wearing. So I thought this was really, really nice. Someone mentioned the Breguet Type 20. Love that watch. So again, this is the Marcello C Nettuno 3. Is that company still around? I was a big fan of Marcello C. I don't know where they are. German brand. But this was my first nice Swiss-made watch. It's a big deal to me. It's still very comfortable. Nothing but good things to say about this. I do not have more watches than Arnold Schwarzenegger, and meeting the Governator was a fantastic experience. I have nothing but positive things to say about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Here's what I can say about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and this is someone that grew up, watching his movies and things like that. There's no other man I know alive who's done as many, bucket list men's things and gotten away with it. I mean, he's done everything. He's killed aliens. He's traveled in time. He's become a champion bodybuilder. He's been a politician, super wealthy, gotten away with sleeping with other women when he was married, just completely got away with everything. I mean, he has been successful at pretty much everything he's done, and he's a super nice guy. He makes you feel like he cares about you. That's probably his political training, but I was unbelievably impressed with him, and I think that he's made himself vocal on social media and stuff, and you hear his voice. He's very honest. The Seiko Arnie, no, it's fine. It's nothing special. I don't really like that watch. But yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, really, really impressive, and definitely a highlight. And to know that he and I share something in common, which is liking watches, is nice. And Stallone as well, another watch lover who I got to meet, who is really, really cool. Both those guys, just they're everything you want them to be. I can't say that about every celebrity. I cannot say that about every celebrity at all. This is a Brellum. This is like the Weaver and Classic Petite Seconds. This is one of their latest watches. This is quite nice, actually. Nice execution on the movement there, huh? Chronometer. Sorry about that squeaky strap. You hear how squeaky that is? Any Manta or Stoa? I don't have any Stoas. I do need to get a Manta. I do like some of Manta's stuff, I have to say. They make some really nice things. Norris? Is he a watch guy as well? I don't, if he is, I did not know that. This is like, I'm trying to think about when I was thinking about this watch when I was reviewing it, who I said it was for. This is sort of like an alternative IWC. And what do I mean by that? IWC is a lot of like very big dress watches. And this is sort of like a big masculine like dress watch. I actually do not have any Doxas. Doxa is like, again, it's fine. I like them. Some people like love it. And when I hear people talking about Doxa, how much they appreciate it, I hear them share a certain type of enthusiasm that I don't have. And I say to myself, I don't like this watch as much as these gentlemen do. I don't think I can get one because I don't love it as much as these guys. I do like Blancpain a lot. I really do like Blancpain. The brand is what I call marketing challenged. Like, I mean, really, really marketing challenged. But Blancpain, which of course is under the Swatch Group with Breguet, those two brands, when they want to make something amazing, they can make something amazing. They're terrible about talking about it. I mean, like, truly awful at promoting themselves as brands, but they make great stuff. Oh, okay. So the Bulova is called the Lunar Pilot Chronograph. That's what they called it. Who's piloting on the moon? Can I see any large brands going under if the virus persists for a while? That's a very good question. I think that big companies are the ones that are in the best position to hold out during a time like this. Though you never know. There's certain brands that could just sort of throw in the towel. They could be like GM and start to, some groups would start to kill some of the brands. So the Swatch Group, who I think has 18 brands right now, might decide, you know what, that's a few too many brands. And I don't know, put Union Glashütte or something like that on ice. And there's a lot of good brands out there, but the problem is, it has to do with the financial backing. RJ, when they went bankrupt, it wasn't because they weren't selling stuff. It's because their financial backers got spooked and just pulled out all the money. If I had to choose one, is that like, what was that, a Patek or an FP Journe? Is that the question? This is the Favre-Luba Sea King. This watch, I think it's only technically 41 millimeters, and this is a sleeper hit. So there's a lot of people out there, and what do they want? They want an everyday, all-purpose steel watch with a bracelet. Okay, this is one of the best ones out there right now for like under, I don't know, 2,000 or around 2,000. Someone was asking me this. Not Brett Favre, Favre-Luba. Very simple dial and gray here. It comes in a few other colors. Very legible, but then everything else is just crazy personality, just crazy levels of personality, but it's just never too much. And it still ends up looking like functional jewelry. So you can wear this on a date, you can wear this to work. So for me, they did a great job of combining like watch nerdery and just sort of daily wear men's jewelry. There's bigger versions of this. So this is the smaller version, not of the Sea King, but I mean of Favre-Luba, this case. So this case goes up to like 45 millimeters or more. If you recall, they have the Raider Harpoon, which has this interesting system that I talked about a lot in the review of it, but it was like a big watch. It was like, again, 45 or more millimeters wide. They finally made a 42 millimeter wide model that is on its way to me now, and I'm really excited to review it. Anyways, this is the Sea King, which I've just been wearing the hell out of. Just utterly wearing the hell out of this thing. Why? Because it's legible, and it's comfortable, and it looks different. It looks different. This is like, If you had to do a modern 1970s era watch, this not only would be it, but it would be a classic. Isn't that something? Again, it's not for everyone, but I'm a big fan of this. And this is the Sea King. Again, I think it's just 41 millimeters wide. But it looks bigger, of course, because of the cushion style case. Really nice stuff here. Favre Luba is definitely a brand to look at. Nice detailing. And again, this watch was... Someone find out what this watch is. First, in my mind, it's around $2,000. I don't think I'm that far off. What else do we got to look at? Oh, we got the Louis Vuitton. We got Formex. I'm reading some comments here. People are talking about Chinese buyers and how a lot of authorized dealers say the buyers are Chinese, and because of what's going on, they're not really buying. Okay, so 1,750 Swiss francs. Now, let me ask you, a person that just said that price, I'm guessing that's of the Sea King. There's a few versions of the Sea King. There's the lady one, which is smaller, and then there's the watch on a strap. Is that the one on the bracelet? This is the Formex Essence. This is another great watch in the same price vicinity on the strap. Okay, so what is it on the bracelet, Nervosa? This watch is also about $2,000. And like all Formex watches, look closely. Oh, case suspension. It's like a tiny, tiny lowrider on your wrist. Okay, so 1,950 Swiss francs for the Favre Luba Sea King on the bracelet. Pretty good value if you ask me. Especially when a Royal Oak is going for what these days? The Essence is another watch here that is a good alternative if you want just an everyday steel watch. Nice bracelet here. Very Royal Oak-ish. The kind of harsh facets. Well, not harsh, but these sort of sharp facets. This is the chronometer version of it. Note that in the bracelet here, was there a micro extension here? Oh no, that's in the strap. So this comes with a strap as well. They came with like 3 different straps. So there's the bracelet and 2 straps. And the straps have like a micro adjust, which I like. Eterna is hugely underrated. Well, tell that to their investor and get them going again. Not investor. They have a Chinese company that owns them. It's called City Time or something like that. I think that they keep the factory going to make the caliber 39 movements, but the brand itself, I don't know. But I agree, Eterna is a great brand. They own a few other brands as well. I think they own... I'm not sure right now exactly who else they own that's still around. Anyways, this is going back to the Formex Essence here. Does being a chronometer help sell for I'm not sure the question exactly. Not all versions of the Essence are a chronometer, but it's an added value. It's an added value. But again, if you're looking for comfortable, legible, and distinctive looking everyday steel watches on a bracelet, this is a good option along with the Favre Luva. There's the case suspension. And again, very nice execution of the movement there. I get really tired of seeing all these watches that have an exposed movement, but it's not decorated. I'm really glad at this price point to see a decorated movement here. That's quite nice. Do I know a good AP homage? I mean, there's really no shortage of them. I mean, honestly. What else we got here? I talked about the Fortis. That was a nice one. I guess we'll talk about the Louis Vuitton Tambour. This is one of my favorite dive watches. Concorde. Don't even get me started. That's a brand that deserves a little bit of comeback, if you ask me. This watch has been on my mind ever since I first learned about it. Louis Vuitton did so many things well with this watch. This is really one of the best ones. Really one of the best ones of all time, honestly. Such a good watch. Look at that Tahitian mother of pearl there in the sub-seconds. Yeah, someone's saying about the interview. Is that the one with Crown and Caliber a few years back? I definitely had this watch in there. Louis Vuitton watches are another underrated brand. I mean, look, the company owns Tag Heuer, Hublot, Zenith, Bulgari. They can make a good watch. Don't ever put down Louis Vuitton watches. It doesn't make any sense. The loom on this thing is nuts. This whole section right here is loomed. So beautiful. I do want the bracelet. There was a bracelet that came with this watch. I gotta find it out there. I really want the bracelet. There's also a gold version of this watch. Expensive, but that one is a beauty. Thoughts on salmon dials? I just prefer not to call it salmon. There's nothing wrong with salmon, but I don't personally like the flavor of salmon. I find it to be a fishy fish. I don't like fishy fish. And so every time someone says salmon dial, I just think of the smell of fish. And I'm like, I don't want to think that. So like the color, don't like the name salmon. Can't you call it like rosé or something? Do I like Parmigiani? Yeah, delicioso. Oh, the Singer Track 1. Really neat watch. Different versions of the dial have different legibility. So if you're interested in it, like take a look at the different dials. Cool movement. I think it's like $40,000, but I mean, Jean-Marc Viderecht, all haute horlogerie, super nice. Oh, Ugana, thank you so much for the tip. Arthit, you asked, a lot of people asked me about my favorite watch brand. There's an article I wrote, I don't remember when it was, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, about why I don't choose favorites. I think it's an artificial construct. The whole point is to get as many watches as you can at as many price points and styles. And I mean, it's like with shoes. You just want to have a different watch for every occasion. You want to have ones that you actually need to wear when you need to be comfortable and do sport. And you want to have ones to show off. Or sometimes you want to just have ones that make you smile. They're artistic. Like talking about this watch. Like, I love this watch. Would I say Swatch is my favorite brand? No. But you know what? On certain days, wearing this would just make me happy. Just make me happy. And that's the power that watches have. They remind you about things, whether there's an experience you've had with them or they just visually remind you of something that makes you happy. So I reject the notion of wearing a watch strictly for its utility to tell someone else that, you know, you have money. But if it tells people that you have good taste, or if it tells people that you want to be their friend, or if it tells people that you like something that they like, that's okay. That's okay. 7 Friday, there's a few good ones. I mean, they're fine. But again, a lot of their watches are just not very legible. And I find myself just really not choosing to wear watches that you can't read. And so maybe one of the things that you'll identify from all of these watches, actually, aside from this one, but when it was alive, when the battery worked, it was very legible. All of these watches are super legible. Do you see that? I have no interest in collecting, wearing watches that you can't read. For me, a watch, first and foremost, must be a useful tool. If it's not, I'm not going to consider it as anything else. Look at that Tambour diver. I'm not even big on brown watches, but this one works so well. Okay, everyone, this has been about an hour. I love spending time with you. Someone is saying Eterna, Certina, Fortis, and Bulgari are underrated. I totally agree with you. I didn't know that they were underrated, but I rate them highly. So should they be rated higher in your mind? Probably. The Mr. Jones wasn't too legible. Okay, but that's one of the weird exceptions, because it's a total conversation piece. My phone is going to be in my pocket when I'm wearing that watch. Let's put it that way. Okay, you're asking a lot of good questions, everyone. We're definitely going to have to talk about those the next time. Are Urwerks overpriced? Probably not. Probably not. But again, it's super low production, so you got to take that into consideration. They might make some things that are overpriced. I mean, they definitely do that. They make a small run. They have to share profits. I'll tell you this: the reason that watches in the watch industry get overpriced is often related to the number of people who are profit sharing in there. Because oftentimes nobody wants to pay for the production of a watch, so the watch brand itself is required to do that. And then there's all these other people that didn't want to pitch into the production, but like, yeah, give me 10%, give me 10%. So the dealers, the partners, the this and that, that's one of these reasons why these watches are, as you could say, overpriced. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Have a great night. Keep sane. We're all staying indoors because of COVID-19, but go outside, get some exercise, love your loved ones, and come to peace with all your demons. How about that? Okay, everyone. Bye.